everyone, my name is Phil and welcome to Phil Does 3D. I'm a multimedia and 3D artist and I stream live on Twitch on Mondays and Tuesdays at 5 PM Pacific time in the United States, which is midday in Australia or 1 AM if you're in the UK. Remember, if you miss the live streams, you can catch up with the premiere event streams on a Friday and Saturday at 2 PM Pacific time in the US, which is 9 AM in Australia or 10 PM if you're in the UK. I hope all you guys and girls are well. We're going to continue working on our cleanup of our photogrammetry objects that we were working on yesterday. We're going to do some, anytime you do photogrammetry, you've got to do some cleanup on the model. You can't take the raw model from photogrammetry and use it really. The textures will need cleaning up. The poly count on the model will need adjustment. So that's what we're going to work on today with one of the models we worked on from yesterday, which is this urn. Well, it wasn't an urn, but we're going to turn it into an urn. So that's what we're going to do some optimization on today. So this is a photogrammetry object that I took from Reality Capture. I brought it into Max. And it's about 2.5 to 3 million polygons at the moment, so it's incredibly high, too high for what we need. So that's what we're going to be doing. We're going to work on optimizing this model. Excuse me for 2 secs. Remember, if you've got any questions or anything you're not sure about, please feel free to pop into chat and ask me. If I can help, I'm happy to try. If you just want to pop in and say hello, that's always welcome, but if all you want to do is watch, that's completely fine. Okay, so this base, I actually don't want this lower part. I only want the model up to that part of the base there, so I want to remove all of the bottom part here. So I think what I'm going to do is we're going to go and do vertex mode. I'll jump into one of my side viewports. And I'm just going to select everything up to about there and delete it. And now we just have the base to work with, which is what I want. Okay. But like I said, at the moment the model is about, it probably would have reduced the polys a little bit by removing the base, but let's check it. Okay, so it's about 1.5 million polygons. If you're doing a rendering, it's probably okay, but why use more memory than you need to? Hey, Android Lust, it's good to see you, buddy. How are you? Always good to see you, Android Lust. Yeah, so the model now is 1.5 million polys or thereabouts, which, like I said, if you're doing renders, you could leave it like that if you wanted to. You still have to clean up the textures. But there's no point in using more memory than you need to. You're pretty good? That's good to hear. Yeah, no point in using more memory than you need to. So what we're going to do is we need to do some cleanup on the model as well. We're going to have to fix up some textures because there are some areas here that we didn't have photos for. So the photogrammetry software couldn't work out the texture. So we're going to have to do that in Mari. And we've also got to clean up the model a little bit because if I show you what it looks like just with a plain texture on it, just give Max a minute to work out what it's doing here. We'll make the texture white. You can see that the model is a bit bubbly, best word I can describe it as. Now, and that's noise that was introduced in the photos when the photogrammetry software captured the image to create the model. So it's while we want a few bumps here and there, we don't want this many bumps on the model. So we need to clean it up. Also along the edges here, we need to clean those up, soften them up a bit, and through here. So yeah, while we do want some sort of bumps, but we don't want it to look that bumpy. That's noise from the photographs. You're always going to get noise in the photograph, so regardless of how good your camera is, really. So you're always going to have to do some cleanup work. And I'm going to be using ZBrush Android Dust. to do the cleanup. It's probably one of the few times you'll see me in ZBrush. I really only use it now to do cleanup work on photogrammetry. Not that it's bad software, just the interface is terrible. Just before I jump in to do that, though, I'm just going to grab a quick drink. Much better. Alright, so we removed the base. I've just assigned a plain texture to it because there's no point in assigning the 8K texture that the photogrammetry software created for ZBrush, because we're not doing any texture work in ZBrush. ZBrush, that's right. You know how much I love the ZBrush there, Android Dust. So I've selected the model. I'm going to go into GOZ and send it over to ZBrush. Let's drop it in. It's actually better not to have the texture on the model as well because we can see it more clearly in ZBrush. Android Lost says I'm actually in Maya right now and not ZBrush. Okay, well there you go. Like I said, ZBrush is a good program. It's the best at sculpting. It's just the interface here is just terrible. They've got to do something about this. I really hate it. I find it hard to find things that I need. You've got to go menus and menus deep to get to anything. It's just yuck. And this canvas business where you've got to drop your model and then go into edit mode. I find that just weird for 3D. It should make it more like a normal 3D program. That's my opinion anyway. Alright, so we've dropped our model. We need just to clean it up a little bit. It's not user-friendly. No, Android Last, I agree. It is not user-friendly at all. It's one of the most un-user-friendly programs I've ever used. That's saying something. I don't get the impression they have any intention of changing it though. Pixologic have made no noise about changing their interface. And, you know, I'm sure you'll get people bitching if they did, but hey, you could sort of improve it a little bit, Pixologic. It's been like this since day dot, since ZBrush 1. I mean, you know, fix it up. Bring it up into the modern age a bit. Make it easier to use. You'll get more people using your software if it's easier to use. Alright, let's start along the edges, I think. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to pull in on the model here. You can actually see in ZBrush here just how much noise is on the model. But we'll look at that in a little bit. Let's start with the smooth brush. I'm going to bring the intensity way down. I'm going to bring my brush size way down too. Might have to pull up, well, might pull up a bit on the intensity. I think it's a bit low. That's better. I'm also going to switch to the Wacom pen and tablet because it's just easier for me to sculpt on the model. Just going to pull up the Z intensity a bit more. Maybe just a little bit more, still a bit low. $25. No. Android Lost says I had to add custom shortcuts to the stuff I need to speed up the workflow for you. Yeah, if you'll notice in the shelf down the bottom here, might just be a little bit cut off there. It looks like in OBS, but I add my brushes that I use a lot down the bottom. It's just easier for me to find them quickly. Again, a really confusing interface. They show you way too much stuff here at once. They could, you know, I know that they've given you an alphabet up here that you can drill down to find just what you want based on the name. But even that's not good enough. That's just too busy. They've really got to do something about that. So I could see how adding custom shortcuts would help as well, Android Lust. So I'm just going along the edge here and just softening it up. I actually installed a plugin to make working in the viewport easier, so you'll notice that I can rotate around my model without going to these stupid buttons that they have on the side, just like a normal 3D software, or move my model. And that's a plugin called Middle Mouse Button, I think. It's a free plugin you can download from the forum on Pixologic's website. It was created by a user, not by Pixologic. What a surprise. I find that helps me a lot. The fact that I can just work like a normal 3D program by rotating and stuff. Because in Pixologic's warped way of wanting to do things, they want you to hit buttons to rotate or move a model. It's just stupid. Stupid. You don't want Phil to go up on a rant about ZBrush. We can't do that. It's very easy for me to do. Start ranting and raving. Android Lust says, I wish I knew about that about 6 months ago. I may have used that plugin. Yeah, I do recommend it. We'll fix that up later. I do recommend the plugin. It is very good. Actually, just for anyone that's interested, we might take a quick look at it. Just minimize ZBrush for a minute. Why you do this to me? For some reason, it won't let me minimize. There we go. I'll pull in my Explorer. It's really easy to find. If you go ZBrush, middle mouse, I think it is. Oh, this is it here, middle button plugin for ZBrush. Even though it says for revision 6, it works in 2018 because I'm using ZBrush 2018. So you can download it from here. And again, I'm going to pop the link into chat. So you download it, you just extract it to your Z plugins folder, whether it's 32-bit or 64-bit, whatever version of the operating system you're running. And then it makes life much easier working in ZBrush, trust me. At least for me it does. Much, much easier. Yeah, so all I'm doing is going along the edges here to soften it up. Because you guys know how much I hate a hard edge on anything. It's really unnatural. Particularly a stone that does weather and age, it's always going to have a soft edge. So even though this is time consuming, we saved a huge amount of time by actually using photogrammetry to make the initial model and texture it. And even though we're going to have to do some cleanup on the texturing, it's still much faster to use photogrammetry than try and sculpt it by hand. Now I use the tablet because I just find it easier to work with, but you don't need a Wacom tablet or any sort of tablet. It does help though. I do recommend you get used to using one. They can be, if you're not used to using one, they can be a bit weird initially until you get used to it. But they really do help with sculpting and also with texturing work if you want to do any texture painting. Just make sure I don't hit the buttons on the side of the pen by mistake. So initially we're going to be doing, like I said, we're doing photogrammetry, we're doing modeling in Max, we're doing texturing in Mari, and the beauty renders are in Eon View. And I was considering either jumping between Max and Mari on a per object basis until we get our complete model done, or waiting until the end and then jumping into Mari to do the texturing. And I'm sort of leaning towards that at the moment. So we won't probably do the texture cleanup until we have the rest of the model put together in Max, and then we can do it all at once. I'll probably end up using algorithmic substance painter as well as Mari. I'll use painter just to do the initial base color, and then I'll use Mari to do any texture painting over the top of it. We'll be back in 5 to 10 minutes, no problem. Android Lust. Music's playing, good. Just want to make sure you guys have got something to listen to if I'm not talking. There we go. Let me find my model again. Why you gotta be so fiddly, ZBrush? Why? Actually, where was I on my model? Was I there or was I somewhere else? No, I think I was around here. Yeah, I did that edge. And we were doing this edge. Move it along. Normally I'm such a chatterbox, but I just don't really know what to talk about while I do this. It's just sort of zen-like. There's not really much to say while I'm smoothing up an edge. Rotate you around. Looks like we've got a couple of little bumps there as well. Again, that's probably the photogrammetry. It's just introduced some noise in it in the model while it was creating it. smooth that down. Sniper Echo, good to see you, buddy. How are you? Look, Sniper Echo, I'm in ZBrush. Can you believe it? Can you believe you see me working in ZBrush? I hope you're well, Sniper Echo. So yes, Phil, shock horror, working in ZBrush. You're AFK now. WTAFK, WTAF like. Yes, in ZBrush, we're doing our edge work here because you know how much I hate a hard edge. Not natural. So we're softening up the edges of our line and I was saying I'm normally such a motor mouth, but there's not much for me to really say while I do this. I guess it gives you guys and girls a chance to listen to the music for a change instead of hearing my voice constantly. But I would only ever use ZBrush with this plugin I'm using where I can rotate around my model easily. I hate these buttons. I hate this interface so much. Pixologic, please do something with this interface. It is so bad. You know, we're not living in the 2000s anymore. Bring it up to date. Modernize your interface. Make it more user-friendly. Keep faking that hate. I do hate it. I hate it. It's not faking. I hate it. I like the software. Look, the software is really good. I'm not going to bash ZBrush as a program for use because if you want to do any sort of sculpting, it is really, really good. It's the interface. It's just awful. Absolutely awful. You'll notice just even getting around your model can be a bit of a pain in this program. Even with the plugin, it's still more difficult than it needs to be. So fix it, fix it, fix it, fix it, I say. Am I back around to the beginning again now? I think I might be. Did that corner, did that corner, did that corner. Yeah, as I was saying, a lot of noise has been introduced into the model from the photograph, from the photogrammetry. So I'm going to use ZBrush just to clean that noise up a bit. And trust me, Sniper Echo, it's not fake hate, it's real hate. Real hate for the interface. Okay, let's move on to the rest of the urn here. Now I'm noticing I haven't actually gone over my settings for my pen, for my Wacom Tablet, but I do know that Windows has some weird things it can do, and I'm noticing my my pen looks like it's hitching here and there, and that could be a setting I haven't changed yet in Windows 10, because you guys know I reinstalled my operating system last week. Sniper says, yeah, ZBrush really is second to none for a lot of sculpting. Yeah, it is, but don't get me wrong, Mudbox is very good as well, and Mudbox is made by Autodesk. But not as good as Mudbox isn't as good as ZBrush. ZBrush has the most tools for sculpting that I've seen. It has more than Mudbox. Sniper Echo says, I know people use other software, but ZBrush is ahead of the others by a large margin. Yeah, it is. They upgrade ZBrush like with new tools quite a lot. So I agree. What they've done a good job. They always upgrade their tools, like I said. Let's look at that in a minute. Let's keep going along the edge. Sniper says, yeah, there's some weird Windows 10 settings you can change to make the tablet work smoother. Yeah, it's to do with flicks and all that sort of stuff that Microsoft built into Windows 10. You got to turn all that sort of stuff off, and I've forgotten to do it, and I'm noticing it when I work with my pen here that there's a bit of hitching here and there in my pen. And I'm sure that's because of I haven't changed those settings. I really have to. I normally do it immediately, but because I had so many systems I had to reinstall stuff on, I just forgot about it. We'll make it work until I can get around to changing it. That's not just ZBrush. That problem happens in every program where you use the Wacom. So Photoshop, if you do any texture painting or any work with the pen, it hitches in that software as well. It's all to do with Microsoft's settings for flicks and all that sort of thing that's built into Windows 10. It causes it. So after the stream, I must make a mental note to make those changes in the software. Or in the settings for Windows 10, I should say, not the software. It took me ages to get used to using the pen. So like I said, if you're not used to it and you're finding it difficult, just persevere, because it does take a while to get used to it. It probably took me a good month to actually get comfortable using the actual pen. But after you get used to it, it's just like second nature. But yeah, I'm noticing this hitching is going on while I'm working, and that's that setting. I've got to change it, I must remember. The joys of fresh install of Windows and all your apps, having to go through and put everything back to the way it was. If you hold down the Shift key, you can sort of get the rotation to lock on an axis. God, this interface of ZBrush is just so bad. It's bad, I tell you, bad. How could they create such a good program and make the interface so bad? Android Lost says, I would love to have a Wacom monitor. Oh, yeah, I would too. I don't want to pay the price for it. Yeah, no, it's expensive. It is cool, but unless you're doing a lot of work where you need, like if you're doing if you work for an advertising agency, you do a lot of ad stuff or magazine work, it can pay for itself then. But apart from that, for the times I use the Wacom, which I do use quite a bit, but not enough to justify spending $2,000 to $3,000 for the Wacom monitor. But it would be cool. I think we might be almost back around to the beginning again, I think. I'm pretty sure we are. I think we're done here. Let's pull back out and have a look at our model. Okay, so we've softened the base, we've softened there. Let's just look at these edges along here. Don't sort of fall for the trap either if you are looking at buying a Wacom tablet of thinking the biggest is the best. It's not the case. It really is dependent on what sort of work you want to do with it. If you do a lot of illustration work, a bigger tablet is better. But if you don't do illustration and you just do texture painting or you do this sort of stuff with sculpting and ZBrush, the smaller tablet is actually easier. You don't have to move your hand so far across the tablet. You can set up the larger tablet in the Wacom properties to only use a small section of the surface of the tablet. But if you're going to do that, why are you buying a big tablet to begin with? Why are you paying more money for the larger tablet if all you're going to do is use a small quarter piece of it? So the smaller tablets, I find them more useful for the sort of work I do anyway. And you'll save yourself some money as well. Unless you're doing illustration work where the larger surface area is actually better. I think we might be back around to where we started again. Let's keep working our way up the model. And let's look at these edges along here. What did you pop in there, Sniper Echo? Into Discord? That looks really cool. Just leaving this here for anyone that's interested in Blender 2.8. That looks really cool, Sniper. Sniper's just posted a video of a creature that was is a Blender 2.8 development test. It looks very cool. And a good reason to join the Phil Does 3D Discord server. You can join it at any time. Just click that blue graphic in my panels below my stream. It says join Phil Does 3D Discord. Everyone's free to post links on Discord, but don't post links in my Twitch chat unless you're a sub to my channel, because you'll get timed out, either by Nightbot or Sniper Echo. It does look cool though. Creature looks incredibly cool. Sniper says, yeah, it's a little old, but might be of interest to some. Real-time engine is great. What engine is that again, Sniper Echo, that they're using for this real-time engine? Creature looks cool though. And again, if you guys want to see it, I'll pop the link to join the Discord server there in Twitch chat. You can click that link and join the Phil Does 3D Discord. A lot of the guys and girls on the Discord server post stuff. They post work they're working on, all that sort of thing. Everyone's very friendly, very helpful, so, and everybody's welcome. So our goal for today is for me to get this smoothed in ZBrush, get the polygon count optimized in Max, and then I'm going to optimize the texture map as well, because at the moment the texture map in Max is an 8K texture, which is all well and good, but when I go back into Max and I show you the actual UV layout, that the software, this model was brought in from Reality Capture, that piece of photogrammetry software. It doesn't do a very great job at UV mapping. It tends to only use like half the texture space. So even though we're using an 8K texture, it's only it only tends to use half of that 8K texture, so it's a bit wasted. So what I'm planning on doing is taking this model into Wacom UV, which, or Unfold 3D, whatever you want to call it now. They call it Wacom UV now. I'm taking it into that, re-UV mapping it, and then we're going to render out a new texture based on the old texture. So we get the best bang for our buck, so to speak. Okay, I'm seeing double here as to what line I need to smooth. It's this one here. So I'm thinking, I still haven't decided exactly what we're going to make for the next 3D model. It's going to be another Rotunda probably, because like I was saying to you guys and girls, they sell really well on my 3D store. People seem to like them. I don't know. Can never have too many Rotundas, I guess. So probably another Rotunda, based off of another photogrammetry model that I'm going to switch up a bit. So I'm going to use a photogrammetry model, but I'm going to remodel parts of it to make it more interesting. Okay, I think we've got all of those bits now. Let's keep moving up. Might soften those edges through there, I think. So yeah, probably another rotunda on a terrace, because you guys were following me last year, watching me stream. We worked on that Baroque terrace, so it's going to be another terrace with a rotunda similar to that, but not as big as that one. It'll be smaller. And I'm thinking about putting a pond in the middle of the rotunda for this one, just so it's a little bit different. Oh, ZBrush, your interface. Your interface, ZBrush, you're driving me insane. You know, when I set up my shortcuts down the bottom here, which I must look at why it's cutting out there. Yeah, when I set up my shortcuts down here for my brushes, I must have had to do that, no joke, 6 times, because every time I went into preferences, unlock the user interface, drag down my brushes, relock the user interface, ZBrush kept losing its mind and removing all of my shortcuts from the bottom of the page there. And that's what I mean by ZBrush interface driving me nuts. That's enough. That's Phil's bitching about ZBrush done for the day. Let's soften out some of these little hard edges here. Never enough, Sniper says. I agree, it is never enough. I'll continue to bitch until the day they change the interface, which they never will, so I'll never stop bitching. Keep the momentum going. Thank God for this plugin that allows me to rotate around the model without having to hit these stupid buttons on the side. If it wasn't for this plugin, I just could not deal with ZBrush, period. The real defiled chaos, how are you? It's good to see you. Says you have so saved the brushes in your Z startup folder. That's why you have to save the brushes in your Z startup folder. I did manage to work it out in the end. They are there now. But just having just that weird way of having to do things to get to accomplish a task that other programs seem to manage without you jumping through 10 hoops that you have to in ZBrush. That's what annoys me about this program. Not the program itself, like I said, it's good at what it does. It's just the interface and having the weird way they want you to do stuff. It's just weird. I'm sorry, but it's just weird. I don't like it. Make it like other 3D software. And like I said, if it wasn't for this plugin where I can rotate and move my model like a normal 3D piece of software, I probably wouldn't use ZBrush, period. Not that Mudbox doesn't have its quirks as well. Mudbox has quirks too. Not as many as ZBrush though. Wow, I really have to make sure I get in and change those settings for my pen. That hitching's driving me nuts. Doesn't take much to drive me nuts though, does it, guys? Phil likes to bitch about everything. Okay, now I'm just looking around to see what other areas here I want to soften up. The Real Default Chaos says when you've used the program enough, ZBrush actually works far better than any other program. Period. Even yes, the interface. I think I've had this conversation with you before. The Real Default Chaos says it's unique in how great it is. I see. That's the excuse we're using now, is it? Its difference is its uniqueness, and that's its greatness. That's right, them's are fighting words, I agree. Hey, listen, there are people that are religious with ZBrush, and if you say anything bad, then they'll go all. I'm not suggesting you're like that Real Default Chaos, but... and it's not just ZBrush. Some people just get too emotional about software, really. It's a tool, and that's all it is. Max, Maya, Blender, Mudbox, ZBrush, they're all just tools. I just wish the interface was a little bit more user-friendly, that's all, from ZBrush. But it gets the job done, even if you have to put up with its weird quirks, I guess. Sniper says, but it's so true. Once you use anything enough, you get used to anything. Well, that is true. It is just a matter of getting used to the software and to the way everything is laid out and where it's laid out and where to find stuff, all that sort of thing. And that's why I suggest to you, if you want to, you know, I want you to sort of get good at one piece of 3D software before you start trying to learn others. You want to make sure you're really good at one. So, and it takes time because you do have to learn the software and learn where everything is and all that sort of stuff. But once you've done that and you're good at one piece of 3D software, then by all means learn others. Never want to suggest that only one piece of 3D software is the one to use or the best. They're all very good. And the more you know, the better it'll be for your resume as well. Sniper says Blender up until the last version was right-click select. Wow, really? That'd drive me nuts. That would drive me nuts. I don't like them messing with my right and left click buttons for stuff I need to do. I'm just going over these line heads now to take out just a little bit of the noise that the photogrammetry software put into the model. We want a little bit of bumpiness in there because it is stone, but we don't want it to be quite so bumpy. Sniper says, yeah, right click select, but to be honest, you could always change any aspect of the user interface and interface buttons, so no big deal. Yeah, there's what software was I using the other day? Oh, that's right, it was SpeedTree. SpeedTree, when you use, I use the scroll wheel on the mouse to zoom in and out. I do that in Photoshop as well. But in SpeedTree it's backwards, so I had to go into the options and reverse that because it was driving me nuts. I wanted to zoom in and I'd end up zooming out because they had it around the wrong way. Some people might say it was around the right way, but it's different to the way every other software works, including Photoshop. Photoshop does it the other way. That's why I'm used to doing it the other way, and that's why I changed SpeedTree to make it so it works the way I expect it to, not the way it wants to. So yeah, most software you can change stuff like that. Apart from ZBrush, I've come to find out there's not a lot you can change in ZBrush with regards to its interface unless you use plugins like I am here for the rotation and movement. Sniper says, yeah, once you can customize stuff like that, I'm quite happy. Well, yeah, again, and I agree. But there's very little customization you can do inside of ZBrush. Not unless it's hiding options somewhere that I haven't found, which wouldn't surprise me because that's the other thing I don't like about it. It nests menus within menus. It's really annoying. It makes it hard to find stuff and change stuff. Don't you hate it when you get a song stuck in your head? I had this song stuck in my head because I was watching music videos just before I started to stream. I hate that. So it's going around and around inside my head. Don't ask me what the song is because I can't even remember the name of the artist or the song. I just have it stuck in my head from the last thing I heard. Android Lost says, only if it's a song I don't enjoy. It's not a great song either. That's, yeah, the song isn't that great. It's not terrible, but it's not great. It's I think it's Troye Sivan and some girl singer. They're singing about going back to 1999 or something, I don't know. It's a pop song. And yeah, it was just because I have music videos playing on TV before I start streaming while I'm setting everything up. It was the last song that was playing and it's going around and around in my head. I should listen to the music you guys are listening to. I'd have to put my headphones in to do that though. You guys up to anything interesting over the weekend? Got anything planned? Don't know what I'll do. I might binge on some Netflix, I think. Why not? Must be something I haven't watched on Netflix yet. Actually, I must work on a proposal for some commission work. I must do that actually. Not actually do the work, but write up a quotation for the person. and actually reread it to see if I can actually do the work. I'm not sure if it's something I can really do. It's a lot of animation stuff, and you guys know I'm not an animator. And Redloss says, I need to use the weekend to attempt to finish some stuff. Oh, well, that's a good use of your time. Instead of becoming a couch potato and sitting there like a blob and watching TV, doing some work is always a good thing. But I enjoy this time of the year because things start to quieten down at the studio, so I'm not constantly bombarded with work. Thank God. So it's my time to relax. Pro Sniper says probably just work the weekend, I guess. Like I said, there's nothing wrong with doing some work, as long as you enjoy it. Android says I have way too many unfinished sculpts. Okay. But again, if it's something you like doing, it's not really work, is it? At least I don't find it that way. That's why I like what I do so much, because it doesn't feel like work to me. And I'm lucky that the studio let me work from home a lot. I still have to go in to have meetings and stuff, but I can do a lot of my work from home. So that's always good. It's always got to make sure you do your work though, because of the temptation to think, I'll just go up and do the washing, or I'll just vacuum the floor, or just jump out, just duck around the corner to the shop, you know. You get nothing done. Sniper says, I'm still trying to figure out how to do some decent weather effects in UE4. I wish I could sculpt. I must try to create a character. Yeah, well, why not? The more you know. I don't do character work personally. I have friends that do it and are very good at it. Like some of these guys that I know that I've worked with in different studios are incredibly talented character modelers. I don't tend to do that sort of work though. And it's not, even though it's interesting and I like watching them work, it's not the sort of stuff I actually want to create anyway. I know that they're better people than me, so I'll leave them to create their character stuff. Not suggesting you shouldn't try though. It's always good to know to try these things. You don't know whether you're going to like something unless you try it. You might prefer to do character work over any other sort of work. Android Lost says, I never thought I would try making characters until I wanted one for a scene, but that turned into a 6-month journey of trying to get better. That's fair enough. I guess it does all boil down to time as well. Like, if you've got the time and you're happy to sit there and learn, then by all means it's good for you to do it yourself, if you can. But if you can't, or you don't have the time, you're on a deadline, it's always good to get somebody else, to commission someone else to do it for you. Or even just a friend maybe that might be better at it than you. Or might have more time than you to create it. But it's good to learn. Hey, I'm not suggesting you shouldn't do no one should do character work. I'm just saying I know I'm not very good at it, so I don't do it. And I would probably get better at it if I practiced it more, but I don't have a lot of time. Sniper says, yeah, I know, I just don't like character work. I'm more of a hard surface guy. Yeah, I am as well, Sniper Echo. I know exactly where you're coming from. I appreciate good character work. I like watching guys or girls working on characters. But I prefer to do hard surface stuff. That's where I sort of, that's my preferred work area, hard surface environment work, as opposed to character texturing or modeling. That's why I don't do animation as well, because I don't do character work, so I don't have the need to do a lot of animation. Sniper says, that's awesome, Android. That's awesome, Android. I need one for a project, so I guess I might get stuck in one of these days. Am I missing something? So yeah, no, you should, by all means, learn to do character creation if it interests you. Smoothing out some of these little bumps that were in the photogrammetry model. I'm not removing it all. I do want some texture to the model, to the sculpt, in some areas, because it is stone. So I'm not going to smooth the entire model, but I'm going to leave some areas a little bit bumpy. Android Lost says it's fun making characters, but learning it is time consuming. I sacrificed a lot the last 6 months. I hated my first sculpt with a passion. Everyone hates the first thing they do. Everyone. Whether it's sculpting or drawing or just modeling an environment or something, because you're new at it, you've not done it before, it's never your best work. That's why it's important to, if you're doing a portfolio to get work in 3D, it's important to update it regularly with other newer stuff that you've done, because the more you do, the better you'll get. So the newer stuff will always be better than the old stuff. You don't have to do it religiously or every month, but just after 6 months or so, go through the stuff you've made and pick the stuff that's new, that's better, because it'll be better because you're more used to it, you've done it more often, so you will create better looking work. It can sometimes help too if you've done a bit of work. This is like not if you're brand new and you're still filling your portfolio out, but if you've been doing 3D for a year or two and you've created quite a few different pieces of work. Remember, I say to you guys, don't stuff your portfolio too full, because employers don't have the time to look at 30 pieces of work. They won't do it. They'll look at one, they'll glance at it and then they'll move on. So I generally advise don't give them more than like 12 images to look at. Andrew Lost says, not proud of my first sculpt, it was nasty. And Sniper says, I'm hoping I can get a friend to help me out with the character. She does character work all the time. I'm usually left speechless watching her work. Well, that's why I said it's a good idea to get somebody, if you know someone that is good, get them to do it for you. saves you trying to mangle together a character, particularly if it's something you don't really want to do anyway. Get someone that likes doing it and is good at it to do it for you. But what I was saying about the portfolio, yeah, no more than 12 images generally. And after you've been doing it for a while, so you've created a bit of work, different types of work, it can sometimes be helpful to tailor your portfolio to the job. What I mean by that is, if you're going for a games job, you show more games-related assets. If you're going for an ArchViz job, you show more ArchViz sort of assets, so more interior work, exterior work. So tailor your portfolio to the job. Now I know that can sound like a lot of work. It's not really. You just choose 12 different sorts of images, depending on what the job is that you're applying for. But that'll only work once you've been doing it for a while and you've got a good collection of stuff that you can put in a portfolio. If you're just starting out, then just choose your best stuff. I'm just going around making sure that all these areas around the lines are smoother. Android Lust says, yeah, I'm still blown away by other people's characters, but it makes me want to get better. Well, that's a good attitude to have. You can always learn something regardless of how long you've been working in 3D or how much you think you know. There's always something new to learn. Always. And that's actually what I like about doing 3D work. I like the fact that there's always something new to learn. Whether it's a new piece of software, a new way of doing something. Makes it fun. Sniper says, yeah, I feel the same about my hard surface work. God, well, like I said, I love the hard surface stuff as well, Sniper Echo, so... I'm not so fond of doing character stuff. Don't have a lot of time to get good at it anyway. And I love my hard surface, so I'm happy. It's the same with animation. Like I said, I'm not an animator. I can do basic animation, which is good enough for me. If I need anything complex, then I'll go to one of my friends who are animators and I'll get them to do it for me. Okay, I think we might be okay with the heads now. I'm just going to concentrate on the middle part of the turn now. So through here. Snober says, yeah, I promised a friend a copy of Substance Designer for working on a character. Hopefully she gets some time. Well, that's a nice incentive, Substance Designer. She must... hopefully she's good at... I've used Designer, but you guys know I don't use it very much. It can be very complicated when you start creating materials in Designer. But it is good software. No, I'm avoiding using a really large brush and just going over the model willy-nilly. So that's why I'm sort of using a small brush and coming in here and doing all this by hand. Because if I use a larger brush, I could remove some detail that I don't want to. Sniper says, yeah, she used Substance Painter and she's interested in Designer. Yeah, well, no, it's a great program to use. I just know, I do know it can get very complicated very quickly when you start creating substances in Designer. Not that that's a bad thing. It's just, it's not a software you can just pick up and use. Not to get good results from anyway. But being able to make your own substances that you can then take into Painter to use, or use directly in a game engine. Be cool. Or a rendering, because Substance can be used in ArchViz now as well. You'll notice a lot of people when they do photogrammetry, I've noticed anyway, people that do photogrammetry, that what they'll end up doing is they'll create their photogrammetry model from photos, obviously. They'll take it into their 3D program, and then they'll put like a modifier on it to clean the model up, which is fine, but what that'll end up doing is it'll start removing detail all over the model. Whereas I prefer to go into ZBrush here and do this sort of stuff by hand. It's why I like using Mari as well, because I like doing stuff by hand. It's too much procedural sort of work going on. It takes away from the art side of things. At least that's how I feel. I mean, I consider 3D art. And doing art, you don't just sort of, you know, throw paint at a canvas and call it done. And that's what I find a lot of people do with photogrammetry when they clean their models up. They run an optimize or something on the mesh, which will get the job done, but it will remove detail and won't look as good as if you get in there and do it by hand. Same with texture painting. That's why everything that a lot of the models created in Substance Painter end up looking the same, because everyone uses the same procedural smart masks and materials and stuff. You don't get anything that looks unique. It all looks the same. Just generic 3D model with generic 3D texture. And anything worth doing is worth taking your time to do. Yeah, well, I'm glad you agree with me, Sniper Echo. Feel free not to if you don't agree with me, but at least I find if you take your time, you'll create a better looking model and better looking texture, and you'll get a nicer looking image, as opposed to if you try and rush through something, throw down procedurals through Painter, or throw on a mesh smooth, say, inside of your 3D program to smooth out your mesh. Because you can see the difference it makes doing it by hand from the original that I haven't done just at the bottom here yet. And if I just thrown down like a mesh smooth or something inside of Max, I would have lost a lot of detail that I don't want to lose. Although this project won't take us 12 months, I promise you guys and girls. Not like that, not like the UE4 level, this one won't take 12 months. We will get this done in a few months at most. The completed model and the renders, that is, the beauty renders. Not just this piece that I'm working on. You guys and girls were very patient while I worked on that UE4 level. So kudos to all of you that stuck it out with me and watched me while I worked on it for those 12 months. It was fun though, we all enjoyed it, didn't we? Seeing it all come together from nothing to the final product. What do you mean you don't know about all come together? Sniper Echo, what are you saying? A huge learning experience? Well, I'm glad you learned something from it. That was my whole point of doing it, was to sort of show you guys how I work with that sort of project, and hopefully it would give you guys some inspiration to do stuff on your own, or show you how I did it so you could repeat it. There are a few pieces of Sniper, you're so cheeky, you get a Phil slap for that, you're so cheeky, Sniper Echo. Few pieces missing. He's referring to the bathroom and kitchen, that's what he's referring to. A lack of bathroom Android lusters as well. You want to slap as well, don't you? You guys want me to hand out those slaps? I'll give you those slaps. Kitchen and bathroom. I told you, if we come back to the project next year, if I want to make it into a game level, I'll put a kitchen and bathroom in. That way you guys can stop bitching. I'll even put an outhouse in the forest. So there'll be a proper bathroom in the building and an outhouse, an old rundown outhouse out in the forest somewhere along a path. But that'll be in the future, because we've just finished that and we don't want to return to that project for a while. I did Smurfberry. Where is Smurfberry, by the way? Smurfberry Barbecue, where are you? Smurfberry mentioned that ArtStation, you could sell work on ArtStation now, and I did check it out before the stream, but there is no way that I can see, because it's still in beta. It hasn't actually officially been released on ArtStation. And unless I missed something, I didn't have a lot of time to check it out before the stream, but I could not see anywhere there to actually set the store up. I don't know, I have to look into that again. As far as the commission goes, selling your work there, I mean, it's pretty average, it's standard. They take 70%, they take 30% commission, which is what a lot of other companies take as well, so that's pretty standard. Unless you pay for a pro membership on ArtStation, and then they take 20%. Actually, I read too that Epic Games are going to start selling games directly on their store now as well, because apparently Steam just put up their fees for selling your games on Steam, so they're taking more commission now. So Epic Games have decided to start selling games that you guys and girls want to make and sell directly on their marketplace, so you don't have to put it on Steam. So Andrew Loss says, I was about to flip it. If they took 70%, yeah, no, that was my bad. They're not. They're taking 30, which is standard. You get 70. And that's pretty much the way it works on most marketplaces. They take 30% commission. I know on the creative market where I sell, they take 30% commission. Which is why I always say to you guys and girls, if you do want to buy one of my models, don't buy it on the creative market. You can if you want, but it's cheaper on my own website because I reduce the prices by 30% because of the commission that creative market charge on my work, or because of that cut. So basically what I'm trying to say is my models are 30% more expensive on creative market than they are on my own website. ZBrush Mesh Fusion, that's right. ZBrush, can you believe it? I'm working in ZBrush, wow. Thought you'd never see the day when Phil was working in ZBrush. Don't worry, I bitched about the interface all morning while I've been using it. So yeah, that's pretty cool that Epic Games are going to start selling games directly on their website through their marketplace. At actually a really reduced commission, I think. I think I read that they're going to give you 88% of the sales, so they're only going to take 22% of for commission instead of 30%, which is nice of them. Something for you guys and girls to keep in mind if you are making a game, and that doesn't have to be a UE4 game. They'll let you sell games that you make in Unity and stuff as well. So just because it's on Unreal's marketplace doesn't mean it has to be made in Unreal. At least that's my understanding. %, 88%. You are correct. I stand corrected. I can't count. There you go. Thank you, Mesh Fusion. 12% commission. You are correct. No, would that be right? 22, 28. No, 18. It would be 18% commission, wouldn't it? 88. No, 88. You are right. 12% commission. This is while I'm not an accountant. Yes, 12% commission, which is incredibly good because most online stores will take 30% commission. And on top of that, Epic Games, if you do use UE4 to make your game, I'm not here to spruik for Epic Games, but I just read the article and it was interesting. If you do use UE4 to make your game, the 5% commission you have to make on sales, they'll take out of that 12% that they take anyway. So it's win-win as far for you guys if you're making a game and selling it on their marketplace. No, I'm not here to... Yeah, lol. No, I have no contact with Epic. I just thought it was interesting to read that they were going to do that. And the reason that they say they're doing that is because of Steam putting up their charges. Apparently. I don't sell anything on Steam, so I don't know. I use Steam. My games library is on Steam, a lot of it. I've got games on Ubisoft accounts as well, unfortunately. And Rockstar accounts. Sniper says, I'm not sure about the conflict of interest personally. What do you mean? What do you mean? What are you suggesting? What are you guys and girls suggesting? What are you saying? Sniper says, well, engineers work closely with the PUBG team, and then Epic launched Fortnite Battle Royale in direct competition midway through. Yeah, I did did think that was quite interesting, actually. So I know PUBG was released and got really popular before Epic released that Royale mode inside of the game that they'd released. But that's competition. I guess that's the world we live in. But I did think it was quite interesting to see that happen. Sniper says, will they do the same if they see an indie game idea? I don't know. I don't know. Maybe. I guess that's the risk you take, though. That's the free market. That's the world we live in. Unfortunately, for good or bad. If they think they can make money doing the same sort of thing, then they're going to do it. And I do know it's been incredibly successful for them. That game, they've earned billions of dollars from that game, from Fortnite. Billions. Since it's been released. Billions and billions. So they've made a lot of money. Which is, I mean, they're a business, they want to make money. Everyone wants to make money. But I did find it interesting that they did that after PUBG's success. Mesh Fusion says, well, I just popped in to see how it's been a while, life, and you got to go get some sleep, so you can't stay. No problems, Mesh Fusion. Thanks for popping in and saying hello. It's always good to see you. Don't be a stranger. Come back again soon. And you have a good night's sleep. There was another company that did the same sort of thing, didn't they? That they tried to cash in on the success of PUBG by putting a similar sort of thing in their game. Might have even been Cliff Bazinski or whatever the hell his name is, the guy that used to work for Epic Games and then went to make his own game studio and then released a game. He tried to release a few that have been flops, and then he tried to release this other one that had a similar mechanic as PUBG in it. But it was a flop as well, and the studio closed down. So yeah, there are a few companies that have tried to mimic the success of PUBG. The Battle Royale game mode. High Res Studios, Android Lust says, yeah, it could be. I just remember reading the article because he gets so much hate online. That Cliffy guy, Cliffy B. And he brings it all on himself, though. I mean, if what he says in the articles is true, then, you know, he's a bit of a dick. I'm sorry, but he is. So he brings the hate on himself. Sniper says, yeah, I don't mind the free market, but to work alongside with the PUBG team and behind them for months, they developed the Battle Royale game mode. It was a carbon copy. Yeah, look, I get where you're coming from. I thought the same thing, even though I haven't played either game. Just when I saw that they'd included that Battle Royale mode. I don't know if they call it Battle Royale or they call it something else. Either way. But that's just, like I said, that is the free market. That's the world we live in. That's what's going to happen. If something is successful, they're going to copy it. Somebody's going to copy it and do it. Try and make money off of it. And like I said, they've done very well. Epic out of Fortnite, they've made billions. But PUBG's done well as well. I mean, it's still, I think, #2 on Steam at the moment. So they've made a lot of money for PUBG as well. PUBG have made a lot of money out of the game. Android Lost says it might have been the studio who made H1Z1. I'm not sure. I do know that game. Again, not a game I've played, but I've watched streamers play it. Not for a while now. It was bigger a couple of years ago than it is now. H1Z1. I mean, it's people still play it, but I don't watch streamers playing it anymore. I used to a couple of years ago. Well, maybe 3 years ago, 4 years ago. There used to be one guy on Twitch I used to watch all the time play it. But he doesn't stream as much anymore. He actually went to work for Twitch, and then he left Twitch about a year and a half or so ago, I think, to work for another company, an esports company. Yep, PUBG is still successful, as Android Lust says. That's right, they're still making their money. Sniper says no, H1Z1 added the Battle Royale mode first outside of the mod. Oh, okay. And that was with direct permission from the BR mod test team. Okay, well there you go. Well, that's a good way to do it if you get permission. But I don't think legally Epic Games did anything wrong. Like I said, that's just the free market. I don't even know if you can you copyright Battle Royale mode? Maybe you can copyright that word. I don't think you can copyright the concept of that type of gameplay though. Again, I'm not a lawyer, but I wouldn't have thought you could. But didn't PUBG use the UE4 engine? Don't they use UE4? Didn't they use it to make the game? Sniper says no, copyrighting games isn't really a thing. I know copyrighting games can be a thing, but gameplay, I don't think gameplay is copyrightable. The mode of gameplay. But games can certainly be copyrighted, and they are. But again, I'm not a lawyer, I could be wrong. Maybe you can copyright gameplay. A type of gameplay. Again, correct me if I'm wrong, but isn't Battle Royale basically just the map getting smaller on a timer? So everyone gets pushed into a certain part of the map? Isn't that what Battle Royale is? Because otherwise I don't see how it's different from, say, Deathmatch, which was around 10 years ago. Sniper says, yeah, that's what I mean by Epic engineers. Worked with and for PUBG. Oh, okay. And then they launched Battle Royale and Fortnite. Okay. Took me a while, but I got there, Sniper Echo. I know, I understand now. That's right. Yeah, that is very sus. But when they released Fortnite, they didn't have Battle Royale, did they? They added that after the release. At least that's what I thought. I thought they added it after they'd released it. Sniper says, yeah, it is. Andrew Lust says, yeah, it is. Sniper says, legal, sure, but I see it as a conflict of interest with regards to a store. Yeah, look, I get where you're coming from, Sniper. It is something that you should be thinking about if you do want to sell on. But even if you don't sell on their website, they could still take that idea. Anyone could. Like, say you sell your game on Steam. Any company can then look at that and think, oh, that's a good idea, I'm going to copy that. I don't see how selling stuff on UE4's marketplace is going to protect you anyway, if you don't, you know. Android Lust says the Battle Royale is one life and one winner per 100 people, or however many as in the game. Okay. Sniper says Fortnite added it after PUBG went into alpha. Oh, okay. Again, I wasn't aware of that. I did not know that, Sniper Echo. I just assumed that they added it after they'd released Fortnite, because I don't play Fortnite. I don't play PUBG. I don't play multiplayer online games. They're just not for me. I just don't like them. I'm a single player, story-driven game player. So good story, single player. That's why I'm not really up on everything that happened. So no, but I can see your concern, Sniper Echo, but it's not going to protect your game from any other company anyway if you sell it on Steam, say. There's nothing to stop another company copying it anyway. So Sniper says, yeah, so my point really is that Epic effectively sabotaged PUBG before it really got going. Oh, but that's not really true, is it? PUBG is incredibly it's still very popular. You know, I don't think it jeopardized their sales. It's still number 2 on Steam in the Steam top 10. I don't think it's really hurt their sales, has it? But again, I don't know. I don't speak to the people that make PUBG. You'd know more than I would, Sniper Echo. But I wouldn't have thought so, because it just seems still to be selling really well. People play it. I mean, it's still in the top 5 games being played on Twitch as far as categories go, number of people watching. So I would have thought they would have done quite well. Sniper says it's popular, but it prevented it developing to where it had been planned. Oh, okay. So it sort of put a spanner in the works for what they had, the PUBG guys had planned for the game. Okay. It did look like Epic sabotaging PUBG. Yeah, again, I'm not going to get drawn into that political argument there. I don't know. I don't know, but we do live in a free market. That's all I can say. I'm not saying it's fair. I'm not saying it's good or right. I'm just saying that that's the world we live in, for good or for bad. So yep, that is a concern though. If you are making a game and you've got an idea that you think is going to be really popular, you've got to really think long and hard about who you team up with. Sniper says free market is a good thing. Yeah, no, look, free market is a good thing, but it does bring risks like that where, well, you see, you're not talking about the free market. You're suggesting something else that I don't want to get involved with. I don't think Epic went out of their way to sabotage PUBG. I don't personally think that. But again, I don't know. I was not there. I was not involved. I don't know behind the scenes what went on. I can see how it would be... it could be an issue if Epic worked so closely with the guys at PUBG when they were implementing that Battle Royale mechanic into the game. But that wouldn't have stopped another company once the game had been released from copying that idea anyway. That's what I'm trying to say. Mandridla says, but Epic kind of added it to the gameplay that PUBG didn't do. Sniper says, see, that's the thing. The game mode you say Epic added to was actually one of the first versions of Battle Royale. Okay. And again, I haven't played either game. I don't know. I can't make... I don't want to make assumptions on something I have no knowledge of. I've never played either game. Never will. But look, all these things are a concern. That's why when you work for a games company, you're working for a games company, you're working on a game, they make you sign an NDA. They do that because they don't want their stuff stolen. They don't want the idea that they're working on to be made before they can release their game. That's the whole reason for NDAs. It's to stop other people stealing what you're working on, doing the same thing that you're doing. So I don't know whether the engineers that PUBG used from Epic Games had to sign NDAs or not. So that's yeah, but that's the reason you have to sign an NDA, so that other companies can't steal what you're working on. Sniper says, so in effect PUBG couldn't use that version. Okay. So yeah, like I'm a fan of Fortnite, but I'm just not a fan of the way that they launched it. Okay, it's a little bit more complicated than what, by the sounds of it. If you're saying that Epic worked on the code and then wouldn't let the guys at PUBG use the code, that's something different again. Yeah, it's complicated, no doubt. Yeah, it does sound complicated. That's why you have lawyers. They work all that sort of stuff out. And if you can't come to an agreement, then it goes to court. But you'd always want to make court the very last resort. Sniper says, well, it wasn't that good that they wouldn't let them use the code. It just meant that the version couldn't really be used by PUBG. Okay. I mean, yeah. Yeah. Maybe it wasn't wise for them to involve Epic to begin with, and maybe they should have looked to a third party to help them work out how to fix their code or write their code. Again, it would have all been in legal agreement between Epic and the guys that made PUBG. I would have thought they should have sorted all of that sort of stuff out right at the very beginning before any work was done. Sniper says, but at the end of the day, there's plenty of room for many Battle Royale modes. That's right. You know, plenty of room for Battle Royale. And trust me, even though it might be popular now, it won't be popular forever, because that's just the nature of video games, and that's just the nature of pop culture. What is popular one day won't be popular forever. So, and then there'll be the next thing, and then the next thing, and the next thing. That's the thing that keeps our society going. If they didn't manufacture a new need all the time, then our society would crumble. You know, no one would be employed because businesses wouldn't be making new stuff. It would just be a disaster. I'm not saying it necessarily be a bad thing in the long run, but this manufactured need of the constant new thing is done so that society keeps turning. People keep spending, companies keep employing, all that sort of stuff. Sniper says, my only concern is for small indie teams. We're working their asses off with no resources, and Epic doing the same. PUBG could work because they had a massive budget. I didn't know they had a big budget for PUBG. I thought it was an indie team, which is why I was impressed. It was so popular, and I thought good on them, because I assumed it was an indie team. I didn't think they had a big budget. Well, there you go. I learned something new. Still, I guess, could have been an indie team that did Kickstarter or something. I don't know. I don't know who their investors were. But yeah, it won't, even though Battle Royale is very popular now, it won't be forever. Trust me. I've been around long enough to see it happen time and time again. Particularly in the technology and entertainment sectors, it's changing so much so quickly, constantly, because it has to survive. So they have to, PUBG guys have to make hay while the sun shines, which is now when it's really popular, because there will come a time eventually where it won't be. And that goes for any game ever made. Like Red Dead Redemption, that's the talk of the town at the moment. But there'll be something new next year. There'll be a new game release. Maybe it'll be Cyberpunk 2077 or something, and that'll be the talk of the town for the next 12 months. We always need something new. Sniper says here, I don't mind the PUBG Fortnite thing so much. I just hope indie games get a decent chance to be seen is all. Well, that's the other reason Epic Games have given for wanting to offer their marketplace to sell your stuff, because not only are they giving you more commission, they say that you'll get more exposure, because Steam only tend to promote the top sort of selling games. Now, whether that's true or not, I don't know. I don't sell on Steam, and I don't sell on the Unreal Marketplace either. So I don't know how Epic are planning to do that. I do know that Epic said that they're going to curate the initial offerings, which I don't like. You guys know I don't sell on Unreal Marketplace. I've thought about it, but when they first opened that marketplace, it was curated as well. Now I understand why Epic want to curate the stuff that they sell. It's being sold by their company. They want to make sure it's up to quality. That's fine. But Epic, when they first opened the store, they had it so that forum members would vote on what stuff they want to put in the store. So me as an artist, say I make this thing and I say I want to sell it. I put a post on their forum, and if enough people said, yeah, I want to buy it, then Epic would have put it on their store. Now that could have changed. That was when they first opened that store. But I believe that's sort of, they're going to curate the games offerings initially anyway. So I don't like that curated approach. I think that stifles creativity and discourages people from wanting to make stuff to sell on your store. Andrew Loss says, what's your opinion on the indie devs? Yeah, you guys can chat about that. But I hope it doesn't stifle independent developers. I hope it's a good thing. I really wanted to get this model done today, but I'll probably get the this part of it done, so the cleanup work done, but next week when I come back we will do the optimization and do the texturing. I'm pretty sure I should be able to get the cleanup done here. Sniper says, since the PUBG Fortnite face-off, it's grown in popularity so much. You're talking about Battle Royale mode, I'm assuming? I was talking to some streamers about it just today, Sniper is saying. I think this might be the last one I need to do. I'm not sure about that one. Sniper says paying streamers is a common thing now. They have to disclose that that's happening though, Sniper Echo, legally. They have to say to their audience if they're being paid to promote whatever they're doing, whether that's a product or a game. That's legally a legal requirement. If they're not doing that, then they're breaking the law. If a streamer you watch says this is great, you should buy this, whether it's a product or a game, and they haven't disclosed that they're being paid by the company, then that's against the law. Sniper is saying not on all platforms. Well, I know on YouTube and on Twitch it is. It's against the law. If you don't disclose that you're being paid by this company to promote the product. I don't know about other companies. I would assume on Mixer it would be the same, run by Microsoft. They wouldn't let you do it. I'm not saying all companies are the same or all sites that you might be watching people stream on. And besides, it's a really scummy thing to do anyway. I don't understand. I understand streamers wanting to be sponsored. Okay, I get that. I get it. But not telling your audience that that's why you're saying everything is so great, well then that sucks. That's scummy. You know? Sniper says, and depending on the way that they are paid, for example, sponsoring a stream doesn't mean that you then have to say a game is paying you to play it. No, but you should be telling your audience that you're being sponsored, at least. You know, if you're being sponsored by a company, which in effect means you are getting some sort of revenue deal or some sort of pro quo from the company for what you're doing, you're promoting that company in some way, you should be telling your audience. And if you're not telling your audience, I'm sorry, but you're a scumbag. It's simple as that. Yeah, a lot of bloggers do that as well. You know, people that have a blog, could be a makeup blog, could be a fashion blog, could be some sort of blog. They get sponsored and they don't tell the people that read their blog that they're being sponsored, whether that's payments or whatever. That's scum. That's a scummy thing to be doing, in my opinion. People trust you and you're taking advantage of them. Sometimes it's obvious they're sponsored. Landroid Lust says yes. I think sometimes it is obvious, which is fine. I don't mind people being sponsored. I mean, you know, like I said, everyone wants to earn a living. That's fine. But you've got to tell your audience. Otherwise, you're being dishonest. At least that's the way I see it. And I wouldn't want to watch somebody that was dishonest, you know. That if someone that just treated me like, well, you're a means to an end, you know, as a viewer, I don't think that's a good way to be. I guess it's just part of the system now, Sniper Echo says. Well, it doesn't have to be. If you guys don't like it, then you don't watch those people. If you think what they're doing is not good or not right, then you vote with your eyes and you don't watch them anymore. That's what annoys me about people like Logan Paul that were on YouTube, who behave badly. Everybody got up in arms. I mean, you know, if you really want to take a stand, don't watch them. I'm sure when they start losing all their viewers, and then they'll come to their senses and they'll behave better. And the same thing goes for people that are being paid by companies and aren't disclosing it. They're trying to take you for a ride. They're being dishonest, and you shouldn't reward people who are dishonest. That's not a world I want to live in. Good, I'm glad you agree, Sniper Echo. No, I know I've been a bit harpy here today, but it's an important issue, and it's something that you guys should think about, because you have a lot more power than you think. As a viewer, whether it's Twitch or YouTube or wherever, even just as what you buy and where you buy it from. If you don't like what a company or a person does, then don't support them. Don't watch them, don't buy their product. If enough of you think that way, then you can make them change their ways, trust me. I'm just going over to make sure I just catch getting any areas that I might have missed. Let me just zoom out on my model here. Okay. No, it is a very untidy model at the top here, but all of this is being hidden by our bowl, which, well, the inside of the urn, I should say. So the only other thing I think I want to do here is just smooth out this rounded bowl at the top a bit. Now I don't need to go in here and do this one by hand because it's just a round bowl. It's not a lot of detail like down here. So I could probably increase my mouse size here. Just bring back the intensity a little bit. I'm just going to go over, I'm going to reduce my intensity a little bit more. I'm sort of hitting it here and there. I'm not sort of going over the whole thing. I'm just touching it here and there to smooth out smooth out an area here and there. Not the whole thing. I think we should be good, actually. I don't think there's anything else I need to smooth out. I've hit all the areas I wanted to, just tidied it up a bit. We got rid of a lot of the noise that we had in the model. I think we might be good. Let us save our document. Before we do that, actually, let's send it back to max. So I'm going to hit the GOZ button. That should send it back to max. wait for it to reload. Okay, and so we have our smooth model in Max. Let's apply the texture. And we have our smooth textured model back in Max. Just cleaned up the noise that was on that was in the photographs, that was set into our model. So that's good. That's what we wanted. Okay, let's do a save all here so we don't lose what we've done. So the next thing for this model will be for me to optimize the model, and then I want to re-render out the texture, because if we look at the texture, let's have a look at it. This is what the Reality Capture creates as its default texture. If I show you view image, you see how it's only using half of our 8K texture. Basically, it's pushed everything down into this lower half. So that's wasted space. So what I want to do is I want to re-render out this UV into a new texture that takes up our entire texture space. That will allow me to reduce it from an 8K texture to a 4K texture, but not lose any of the detail. So that's what we want to do for the texture, and I also want to optimize it from 1.5 polys back down. So why does it do that, Sniper Echo? That's the way that they've designed their algorithm in the program to work. They all work differently. Context Capture does a different UV mapping than Agisoft does, and Reality Capture. They all do UVs slightly differently. Context Capture probably does the best as far as the UV map goes, but it's no big deal because you can just re-UV it, which we'll do on Monday next week when I'm back. I think we might leave it there for today though, guys and girls. I do want to thank you all for being here and watching and hanging out with me. Thanks Sniper Echo and Android Dust for popping into chat. Been an interesting conversation. So when I come back on Monday, we will optimize the mesh and we will re-render the texture to optimize the texture. Remember, if you're not sure when I'm live, you can follow me on Twitter at PhilDoes3D because I post when I go live. Or you can keep an eye on my account down there, which is in my panels below my stream. You guys and girls have a great weekend, and I will see you next week. See ya.